Hi, this is Al Williams of Sunset Hill Solutions. In this video I'm going to go through some of the features of DotNetNuke 7.1. I have the beta version of DotNetNuke 7.1 installed on my desktop machine here, and I'm going to walk you through all of the changes that I'm aware of, and everything I've seen so far looks really good. I'm using the Community Edition of DotNetNuke, not the Professional Edition. The first thing that you'll notice is, let's say we go to this About Us page. If you look at the URL, it doesn't have the ASPX extension. So by default, when you install DotNetNuke 7.1 on a new install, you will not see the ASPX extension on the pages. And this is a really nice feature. I really like it. There's a lot of websites now that don't show the page extensions. I just think it looks a lot cleaner, and it's a really nice new feature. Just to show you the difference between the previous versions of DotNetNuke, here's the DNN 7 install on this local machine, and you'll see it does have the ASPX extension. If you have a look at the web config file, this is the new web config file for DNN 7.1, and the URL format equals advanced, so this is what you have to have set, and by default this is what it is for new installs, to have the extensions not show in the URL. In DNN version 7 and before, URL format is human friendly. Another thing that's new in DNN 7.1 is concept of vanity URL. So if I'm logged in as a registered user to the site, if I go ahead and edit my profile and go to manage account, you'll see that there's a profile URL that's generated. This can also be changed as well. This link, if anybody else comes to the site and you have a profile set up on this site, if you give this link to anyone else, I'll just go in another browser here and paste that link in. So now I'm not logged in to this site here, but I've passed this vanity URL and I'm seeing the profile page for this user. It's kind of a nice feature. And here's a really big change. It's with the search functionality. So let me just go see what I want to search for here. I'm going to search for the word mountain. So I'll go back to the home page. I'll start typing in mountain. And look what happens now with this new version of DNN. You see a drop down that shows every page or every section in your website that has the word mountain in it. And if I go to click on this link here, it takes me to the news here, and I see the word mountain in products. So it's going to find it everywhere on the site. In this case, we have the word mountain in the footer of every page, so there's going to be lots of hits. But this is just a really nice feature to have the search be dynamic in this way, and I think it's a really very nice feature that's been added to DNN 7.1. Let's have a look at the file manager now. This is been completely rewritten, and if we go into admin file management, you're going to see that this looks completely different from what you've seen before. I think the old file manager had been around for probably the last 7 or 8 years with very few changes, but right away you can see that it looks different than previously. When you click on an item within the file manager, you have a lot of different options. You can view the properties of the file. You can, let me select it again, you can get the URL to the file, delete it, move it. I'm going to move this file. Actually, I'm not going to move this file because it's being used in the website. Can copy it, rename it, and download the file. The upload feature is much nicer now. If I click on upload files, it allows me to drag and drop. So I'm going to drag a file from my desktop, and it's already copied the file. I'm going to click on close, and that was this image right here. So you don't have to go ahead and select files like previously. You can still do that, but you don't have to. That's a very nice feature to drag and drop in the file manager. Here's another feature of drag and drop. I'm just going to create a new folder, call it test. So now we see that folder showing up in the tree. That file I just uploaded, I'm gonna drag it and drop it into this test folder. Now if I open up the test folder, the file is there. So very easy to move files around in the file manager by dragging and dropping. Okay, let's go back to the home page. And I'm going to log out, and we're going to talk about some of the features that have been added to enhance security as far as password goes, and some really nice new functionality in terms of how passwords work and password resets, etc. So I'm going to go into register on this site, and this is new here now. I'm just going to put in a name. I start typing the password. It has one of those indicators now, whether it's a weak, strong, or very strong password. So as you type, it changes dynamically. So I've typed in a strong password here. Very nice feature to have for the registration page. You can turn this off if you want to. I'd recommend keeping it in there. So now I'm going to click on the login button and show you something else that's new. Reset password. Before, I can't remember what the link was. It may have been send password. Wasn't very secure because I actually sent an email with the text of the password. So now once you click on that button, it asks you to put in your username and send reset link. Click on that button and you can see the message that comes up here. It says if the username was correct, you should receive a new email shortly with a link to reset your password. So now I'm looking at my email. I have received an email saying that you've requested password reset token from DNN 7.1 beta, which is what I'm calling this website. Please log in using the following information. There's a link to click, and I click on that link. It opens a new window. I have to type in my username and a new password. And change password. Okay, look at this message here. Failed to reset password. Either the username token combination is invalid or the token has expired. I'm going to show in a couple minutes where you can change the settings for this. You can actually set a time limit for how long the token will be good for. For testing purposes here, I set it for 5 minutes, and even though it was just a minute ago in this video, I actually waited about 10 minutes before I went to come and reset this password. So that's showing that this functionality is working. You don't want to send one of these links out with a never-ending expiry date. I think I would set it for 30 minutes or 60 minutes. That gives the user that much time once they've received the email to go ahead and change their password. I'm logged back in as host now. I'll show you where you can change those settings. So you go into host settings. In the Advanced tab, there's a new section called Membership Management. So this is that timeout I just mentioned, the reset link timeout. I think by default it's set for 60 minutes. You can set it to whatever makes sense for your organization. I set it to 5 minutes for testing purposes to see if it actually works, and it does. The enabled password history, you can set this, I think, between 1 and 5. And when a user's password has expired and they have to change their password, the system will keep the last 5 passwords they've used and will not allow them to use one of those passwords. They're going to have to pick something different. Another really nice security feature. The password banned list, you can create a list of words you do not want people to use as passwords. Enable password strength check. I showed that a few minutes ago. When a new user registers, you can either have that strength check meter show or not show. This enable IP address checking, if you hover over the help, it says sets whether IP address is checked during login. Now I haven't found where to restrict the IP addresses in DNN 7.1, but there's got to be a place somewhere where you can list IP addresses that you don't want users to be able to register from. It's just I haven't had enough time to figure out where that can be set. I'm sure it's here somewhere. Another change with the passwords now is that the passwords are hashed. It's been changed from encryption to hashing. I'm not going to go over all the technical details about this, other than to say that hash passwords are much more secure. And there is a article on it on the DotNetNuke website if you go to this URL. So I hope you found this video useful. Keep in mind this is the beta version of DotNetNuke 7.1. It can be downloaded from Codeplex, and like they say here, not for production use, not yet. I'm pretty sure DNN 7.1 is going to be released sometime in July. At least that's what I think, and I would check back to the Codeplex site to see when the release does actually happen. I think I've covered most of the key features of DNN 7. There could be some other ones that I've missed, but I think I've touched on all the big ones, and I hope that you agree with me that there's a lot of really nice features have been added to this version of the product. So this was Al Williams of Sunset Hill Solutions. Thanks for watching.